What's going on, everybody? It's Pelfrey, and I want to do a video basically where I stand with the Red Sea Reefer 250. We'll go over where I'm at and where I'm heading, per se. So the 20-gallon tank has been shut down. All of the coral has been moved out of that tank. The two clowns have been moved into this tank. The MP10 has been sold off the 20-gallon. A couple other miscellaneous pieces, but anyway, that tank is dry. The only pieces of rock that I moved over from that tank are, of course, any rock or any frag that I had glued to rock already, and the rock over in the left-hand side that I have some zoas on. Other than that, and you can probably tell by the different color there, but other than that, I didn't move any of the other rock over into this tank. Excuse me, I have plenty of rock in this tank. I didn't see a reason to move it over into this tank, but everything's doing great so far. There is the two Kessil A160s are still on the tank with the A-series mounts. I did add a Coral Beauty to the tank, and this fish is extremely shy. It still hasn't gotten used to its environment, and to be honest with you, I don't know if it's just a lack of other fish in the tank, and one of the reasons why it's shy and not coming out too much, but that's fine. It's a beautiful fish. I've seen it a few times. So basically, I still have the MP40 on the tank, and it is set on nutrient mode currently. I am still running the dual return nozzle. I'll take the camera off the tripod here shortly and do a quick overview. I'm running two EHEIM heaters, 100 watt and 150 watt, I believe. I still need to pick up another wave maker, and I need to get a skimmer. I need to get a auto top off. I'm not going to use the JBJ on this tank. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the JBJ, but I don't want the two float switches in the sump area, so I'm going to go a different route and get something that has an optical sensor, so there's less stuff in my sump. With such a small footprint, I want to do things, you know, as minimalistic as I can. I am still running a bare bottom tank here, and it's worked out great for me. The MP40 is cranked up pretty high, so once again, I need to get another wave maker or pump in this tank. The Reef Octopus Vario 6 is dead silent. I got it on a setting 3 of 5. You can't hear that thing at all. Something that I may address at some point. I know I spent a lot of time on the plumbing. I'm not really sure if I am going to add gate valves to it for a manifold. I've read conflicting reports, and it's something that I might try out, and then if it doesn't work, revert to a reactor with its own pump. And a reactor, to be honest with you, is not something that's on my priority list right now. If I need to run GFO or carbon, I know carbon can be ran in a media bag pretty flawlessly. GFO really needs to be ran in a reactor, but it can be effective in a media bag. So I have media bags already. I have some GFO. If push comes to shove, then that's whenever I get a reactor, but I really don't want to add one to the system quite yet. But I'm set up to where I can add one, but the whole manifold situation, I've read conflicting reports about people having issues tuning the return with a manifold and running a reactor and other pieces of equipment. So, you know, if I have to, then I'll get a MJ1200 again and run a reactor off of that. I have looked at the SpectraPure dual reactor, just because it has controls on it for both of the canisters, versus a lot of the other dual reactors. The flow that you get is what you get. So, you know, GFO needs just a little bit more flow than carbon. So with the SpectraPure, you would be able to actually dictate that flow. I'll go ahead and pull off the camera, and we'll take a better look at the tank. I still got quite a bit to do, but for the most part, we're good to go. I know I mentioned it before. I seeded the tank. And then I added some ammonia to the tank, and then a week or so later I added some biospira to the tank, and so far so good, which there's 3 fish in this tank. I feed pellets once a day, So, you know, there's not a huge bio load in here, but so far everything is on the up and up, and hopefully we're going to continue that route. So first things first, I did move the battery backup over to the Red Sea Reefer. And if you watched my previous video, you probably noticed that the load was not very heavy. So with all the equipment that I have on here now, the load is pretty heavy. I may change it at some point, but I did move it over. I really wish that I could get it inside the cabinet, excuse me. But unfortunately, it has to go on the outside of the cabinet. I'm not really a fan of this because with kids in the house, they could get over there and press the buttons and turn that thing off. Before I get into the cabinet, I know I mentioned this before, this paneling that I added to the stand to make it kind of seamless, but ultimately the paneling is there so that the kids cannot reach in there and unplug anything. So on this side of the tank, you're going to see something that probably looks a little familiar to people with an Apex. So basically I did not mount this anywhere, but we do have the Apex Aqua controller, and so far this thing is run pretty steady at 78.9 and a pH of 7.92. The other thing about the Apex is I don't have a network cable down here, and this is the Apex Classic. So instead of spending 60 bucks or so on a gaming adapter, it's probably pretty hard to see. I turned on the light on the camera, but this is a Linksys wireless router that was converted into a bridge. So basically this does not act as its own wireless router. It just repeats the signal from my current wireless router. Gaming adapters are about 50 or 60 bucks. I think you can actually get them for like 30 or whatever, but I already had this router, and if you look online, it's DDWRT, and it allows you to flash your most routers anyway and make them a repeater. So now the Apex, the antennas here get my wireless signal, and then the Apex is plugged in directly there. So now looking at the top of the tank, you can see the various flow that I have going. That's the nutrient export mode on the MP40. The Kessils and the arm mounts are doing awesome. I really love the fact that there's 3 mounting holes here, and you can move the lights in any position there. This unscrews and slides out quite a bit, and you can see here that I have the light mount down quite a bit. And I mentioned it before, but they do make extensions for this so that you can get rid of the adapter on the tank and mount it to the stand. But I've got water in the tank. I'm really not wanting to mess with it right now. Shout out to Mike Lemming. I'm still using the feeding ring. It's worked out wonderfully for me. So far, the corals are doing great. And I accidentally, that thing was closed up. The Recordia was closed up, and I thought for whatever reason that there was zoas on there, so I really need to pop that off and put it somewhere else. But everything's doing pretty good. You can still see I've got some green hair algae on there, but whatever, it's not very much. The MP40 is still on the side of the tank, and it's worked out pretty good here, so I'll probably leave it there. Like I said before, I'd like to get a Gyre, I believe that's how you say the pump name, and put it over here on the left side or right side. I'm not sure yet, but I'm really liking the nutrient export mode. I did put the alternative reef frag rack in the tank here, so everything's working really good. This tank does operate on a Herbie drain, and I will say that on one of my previous tanks, the Cube, whenever I would do a water change, the full siphon was a little bit finicky, but this thing, you know, I kill the pumps, I drain 5 gallons out, I put 5 gallons back in, and I start to pump back up, and I don't even have to touch the gate valve on this particular setup. So shout out to Red Sea. It's a great setup. Moving into the sump area, the magnetic door locks on this cabinet have been a lifesaver. They've been very, very awesome for me. I am still using the auto top off container, and I'm filling it up about every 2 days. So it is a pain just because it doesn't hold a lot of water volume, but it is getting me through. The pond matrix is still in here, and the filter socks are doing well. So this thing's not quite overflowing yet. This is the BRS filter sock here, and this is the stock Red Sea filter sock. And I got the thicker, this is the mesh, I believe. It's the thicker sock, and I have it in the first chamber just because it's going to touch, the water's going to hit it first. The marine pure block is still in the baffle between the skimmer section and the return pump. And as you can see, I still don't have a skimmer, so that's something that I need to look into. The heaters are running off of the Apex, so I've done my best to get this as clean as possible, but you know, with so many wires and cables, it's kind of hard. But basically, I got the MP40 mounted inside the stand, and then I have the Reef Octopus return pump controller, and then I have the excuse my finger there, the Apex brain here, breakout box with nothing plugged into it, and then my energy bar that has 2 slots left open. So that'll be perfect. That'll allow me to plug in my auto top off of my skimmer, and we should be rolling. So the battery powered USB motion sensing light has been a great light in here. The downside is it does stay on for about 15 seconds whenever you open up the cabinet, but it does have a on switch, so I just turn the on switch on whenever I'm in here for an extended period of time, and I just leave it alone. And you can see here, I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I have a dedicated iPad for the Apex system. We got the amperage there and the temperature, and then of course everything that I have set up on the energy bar here. I'm going to end up mounting the iPad to probably the door here, just so I have easy access to it. So there's a couple different things. I could wire up a switch to the breakout box that would, whenever the switch is pressed, it would shut off like the skimmer, return pump, and anything else that needs to be shut off during like a water change. Or I could simply either log into my phone or the iPad and shut the pumps down and whatnot for water changes. So shout out to one of my buddies, Spencer. He's a local guy. He had the Apex, and I picked it up from him. I decided ultimately a couple different things here. The Apex Classic has the VDM ports there on the right hand side, and those ports basically allow you to control the Kessil lights. On top of that, it has the heater controller built in. So right now I have my heaters to kick on at 79 and then kick off at 80. So I got rid of the spectral Kessil controller. So you know, that's a $100 controller right there. By the time I sell it, I'll probably get half that for it. So we'll say $50 there. And then you can build your own heater controllers, and we'll say that's $20 or $30, or you can buy one. So we'll say upwards to $100. And in the grand scheme of things, you know, I knew I was going to get an Apex at some point anyway, so I went ahead and got it. Having the ability to get email alerts whenever something malfunctions, or just being able to know what's going on, is ultimately priceless to me. And can you run a reef tank without an Apex? Absolutely. You do not have to have this technology on your tank. It is a luxury for sure, which that's what this hobby is, but I highly recommend it. I knew that I was going to go in this direction at some point anyway, but my buddy locally had one, an extra one. He's running one, so he said, you know, I have one, this is the price for it, and I said, all right, bring it over. So hooking it up is very simple. You do need a hardwired connection to the Apex Classic. It does not have Wi-Fi built in, which is why I updated the firmware on my Linksys router. So the new Apex does have Wi-Fi built in. The only thing that I don't like about using the Wi-Fi is you can't update the firmware on Wi-Fi, or they strongly recommend that you do not, that you actually update it with the a hardwired connection. But overall, I'm loving it. You know, I can check the status of my tank from anywhere, and it's worked out extremely well for me. So it is something that I'm definitely going to get used to, and you know, ultimately I'll probably end up depending on it a little bit more than I need to. So you can see I added the I have a 5-gallon jug that I keep under the stand, and that jug does allow me to add auto top off water to the Red Sea container quite easily. But a couple things to look forward to as far as what's going on. I did custom order an auto top off container. You know, see, this is why I got a 3-foot tank, by the way. I put the toys back here, but we got my daughter's toys over here, and then the swing for the newborn. So this is why I went with a 3-foot tank over a bigger tank, because we still have some of the real estate left over. But I did order a custom auto top off container, and you know, I could have very well used a bucket, but my goal is I sent measurements, and it's going to fill up the rest of this empty space over here, and it's going to be about 12 inches tall. So it's going to allow me to get to my equipment board. You know, I could have used a 5-gallon bucket, but a 5-gallon bucket is as tall as this container that's in there. And I really wanted access to the equipment board pretty easily. So that's something to look forward to. The pump, the new pump, whenever I get it, I'm not sure which direction I'm going to go in, but like I said before, I'm leaning towards a Gyre pump, I believe that's how you say it. Who knows, I'll probably get criticized for it. And I really need to pick up a skimmer. I have not picked up a skimmer yet. More than likely by the time this video comes out, there's going to be a pump in here and a skimmer and whatnot. But I'm really looking forward to getting the pump, the auto top off container, a skimmer, and then I was looking at a SpectraPure auto top off, but I may really just lean towards the Tunze 3155 with the optical sensor. And after that, it is strictly spending money on the livestock for this tank and letting it grow out. And as always, I appreciate you taking the time to follow me along with this process. It's been fun. I love building tanks, but once this is built, this is going to be my tank for quite some time. I'm sure there's some changes that I'll make as far as hardware is concerned, but for the next year, I'm actually going to focus on livestock only, and dealing with minimum equipment purchases as far as allocating money towards equipment. I'm going to get coral and whatnot. But as always, like I said, I appreciate you watching. Comments are always great. We'll go ahead and close this up now. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to turn on the post notifications, and we'll see you on the next one.